Stephanie gave Deshawn a black eye. That's why they're keeping him from seeing his mom. They're scared. So there was recently a video clip going around, and I was tagged in it, and it was copies of where Child Services had contacted Desiree, and it said DHS contacted me yesterday to let me know that his dad's girlfriend gave him a black eye. First of all, why are you touching that child? Stephanie, that is not your child to be putting hands on. Drew needs to be the one fathering him, not you. And not only that, why would you be punching a child in the face? You're supposed to be so sweet and all this and that. Now it makes sense. Back when he was cleaning the chicken or whatever he was doing in the sink, and everybody said that it looked like he jumped, flinched. Yeah, now it makes sense. Because you're sitting there hitting him. But then you want to be on live yesterday talking about, boo-hoo, I have a support team as long as I leave him. Girl,
Let's talk about the latest post of the resilient Jenkins made. So Stephanie just made a video, and one thing I want to point out here is the eyes do not lie. And a lot of people are speculating that her and Drew are using, and it makes a lot of sense because she literally always looks so fried off something. In this video, she also made a little housing update, and she basically said that her and Drew are still actively looking for somewhere for them all to stay. She also said that it's not our business about their housing situation, even though she came on the internet trying to get famous off of her housing situation. Am I wrong? No. The whole reason why this family is even popping off is because of their literal housing situation. And you can tell that her children look exhausted. So of course, people are concerned and they are going to ask you and they are going to question, and it's going to be everybody's business because you made it everybody's business.
There's no polite way to spin this. Stephanie Jenkins and Drew Jenkins just proved, without any outside help, that they might be their own worst enemies when it comes to parenting. No one hacked their phones, no one edited clips out of context. They got on camera of their own free will, aired their dirty laundry, and managed to hand Desiree everything she needs to win full custody of Deshawn, on a silver platter. And this time, there's no boogeyman to blame. Drew, Deshawn's biological father, outright said in front of thousands of live stream viewers that if Stephanie walked away, he wouldn't even try to keep his son. That moment wasn't just reckless. It could be legally devastating. Desiree doesn't need to build a case anymore. Drew practically narrated it for her. What should have been a private discussion turned into a public implosion, with Stephanie and Drew laying out every crack in their relationship and every reason they may not be fit to co-parent. From the very beginning of the video, you could tell they weren't even speaking the same emotional language. Stephanie wasn't crying over Drew's parenting style. She was crushed that he basically said their son wasn't worth the fight. And instead of cooling off behind closed doors, she unleashed her frustration live in front of an audience who watched the drama unravel second by second. Stick around, because this story gets even messier. And trust me, you'll want to see how deep this rabbit hole goes. Make sure to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next.
Hey Stephanie Jenkins, it's Layla. Yeah girl, you know me. I'm the girl who cleans your motel every 28 days. This video, it's for you. You've been all over TikTok, but are you gonna tell your followers how you trashed the motel that's not yours? A place you and your kids get to stay in for free? Because while you're out here playing influencer, I'm out here scrubbing your mess. Every single month. I was employed by Do Good Multnomah under JOHS to help disabled people, not to clean up after a TikTok influencer, take advantage of the system for somewhere to live for free. She's the reason why I left and I wasn't allowed to speak up while I was working for him. But the building is being demolished anyways. Not satire, real life.
What really stood out, and not in a good way, was that Stephanie's outrage wasn't coming from a place of love or real concern for Deshawn's emotional well-being. Her reaction wasn't about protecting him from harm or looking out for his best interests. It was about control, about image, about power. She openly admitted that she didn't want Deshawn going back to his biological mother because, in her own words, he'd have a better life there. A safer home, more stability, and a level of care she knew her own children weren't getting. That wasn't a cry of concern for his safety. That was jealousy masked as parenting. Instead of feeling relieved that Deshawn might have access to more support, she seemed threatened by it. Not because it was wrong for him, but because it highlighted what her own kids were missing. She didn't want him to rise above the chaos they were all in. She wanted to keep him at that same level. For her, fairness meant struggle for everyone. That's not advocacy for a child's future, that's sabotage rooted in pride. Her mindset wasn't about protecting Deshawn from a potential loss. It was about preventing him from gaining something she couldn't give. And more than that, it was about what his success would reveal about her own limitations. If Deshawn were to leave and thrive, it wouldn't just benefit him, it would spotlight what her household lacks.
Imagine never going on a date with someone, never having been on a date, and moving your 2 daughters in with this man, into this man 1-bedroom apartment where he lives with his son. You move your 2 daughters in, and you never went on a date with him. You admitted that online. And then you gave him 2 more kids. I'm sorry, as a mom of 2 daughters, I could simply fucking never. Are you kidding me? It's not like I'm still with the father of my kids, so like I don't get it. No, I'm not with the father of my kids, and I had to figure out dating and prioritizing my children still. And it's the fine line is fine lining, but you cannot. Like I would never. If anything in my relationship, I did the complete opposite. Like maybe took it. I'm talking about baby steps, turtle steps. At the end of the day, ain't no way I'm gonna put my daughters into a situation where I'm not 100% sure. And you never went on a date with this man, so you're not 100% sure. You're not even 1% sure, and you're finding out now that he ain't shit. Like, are you for real? And then it gets better. The guy was supposed to take the daughter to get donuts, and he didn't. So the daughter was upset, and she told her daughter, "Didn't I tell you get used to being disappointed? You're not fucking for real. You're supposed to teach your daughters not to accept the bare minimum. You're literally telling her he's giving you the bare minimum, and you need to get used to it. What?"
And instead of using that moment as motivation to do better, she saw it as a threat. Stephanie wasn't lifting any child up. She was pulling them all back down into dysfunction, so none would get ahead. That's not motherly concern. That's toxic comparison. Choosing to compete with a child instead of support them isn't just sad, it's damaging. The fact that she voiced those thoughts publicly, without shame, is even more alarming. Her need to feel in control outweighed Deshawn's need for stability. She wasn't worried he'd suffer if he left. She was worried he'd flourish. And if that happened, it would expose how deeply she's failed to provide the same for her own. That's not parenting. That's punishment disguised as fairness.
Stephanie Jenkins posted a new video, and apparently she loves her man now. She loves her man again. She's writing essays upon essays on the screen, talking about how a happy and healthy home requires parents that are working towards progressing. She always talks about progress, and progress, we don't see it. There is no progress. You are just continuing to live in that situation. What I really didn't like about that video that she just posted too is the fact that she calls her man's job gig work. He's delivering Uber. That's perfectly fine. We like a man that has a job. But I really thought she was going to leave him. I was really hoping that she was going to join Team Desiree and Team Arlita, get her stuff together, and repeat after me. She was going to give Deshawn back to his mom. Again, give Deshawn back to his mom.
Stephanie's jealousy didn't hide behind any noble excuse. It was laid bare, plain, and unapologetic. She made it clear that Deshawn finding peace with his mom wasn't something to celebrate. It was something that shook her sense of control. There wasn't a single mention of his schooling, his mental health, or how he might adjust. Everything came down to optics, to the fear of looking like the lesser parent, to the dread of being reminded that someone else could offer more. Stephanie wasn't expressing love. She was defending ego. And that kind of thinking is dangerous when a child's future hangs in the balance. Instead of supporting what's best for him, she seemed more focused on making sure he didn't receive anything better than her own kids, even if it meant dragging him back into instability. Let's just say, if jealousy were a parenting style, Stephanie's already mastered it.
Really heavily. It just seems to be like he's maybe having a hard time navigating like who he is at this point. I don't really know. It just seems like he's picking up influences really easily at this point. That being said, he's choosing the wrong influences, unfortunately. And one of the kids that's in his class happens to also be in the same apartment complex as us, and he's always wanting to knock on our door and to talk, can your son come play with us? You know, I don't want to say my son's name. But me personally, even though this other child is also like 7, 8 years old, I have no problem telling this child to his face, no, my kid is not going to come hang out with you. You're a terrible influence. And I just want to know, like, where do other moms stand on that? Like, can a kid that's, 8, 9 already have an influence? Because in my opinion, they definitely can. And it can be very negative. Also, when you can tell other moms are not taking responsibility for the actions of their children, and you just happen to be the mom that is always interacting with said children, like, do you feel it's wrong for you to be like, hey, I'm going to put the foot down because your mom ain't doing it, so get. I mean, me personally, I'd like to speak to the mom, but half the time, like, the moms are not around. So I don't know where they are. They're just not around. It doesn't feel wrong in my gut. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong by trying to dictate, who my kids hang out with. Up until a certain point, when they start to express their independence and they're more in their, like, teen years, and it's kind of just where maybe I've put a firm foundation of knowledge of who they should be around, hopefully. But up until then, I think that it's kind of on the parent to try to keep terrible influences out of your child's life. All the kids in his class, like...
Oh, this whole mess just keeps getting worse, doesn't it? Stephanie and Drew aren't just failing at co-parenting. They're turning their son's life into some twisted emotional battleground. And let's be clear, this isn't about what's best for Deshawn. It's about two adults who never dealt with their own issues and are now dumping them onto a kid who didn't ask for any of this. Stephanie's whole, I'm just trying to protect my family act. Please. If she really cared about stability, she wouldn't be airing every toxic argument on live stream for clout. This isn't parenting. It's performative drama, and Deshawn's the one who's going to pay the price. She's so wrapped up in playing the victim that she doesn't even see how she's also failing him. Instead of shielding him from chaos, she's dragging him into it and calling it love. Newsflash. Love doesn't look like emotional manipulation or using your kid as a pawn in your personal meltdowns.
Stephanie made a video talking about the allegations, but she didn't really quite address them directly. She said accidents happen and doesn't smack her kids around. And she said accidents happen. That's all she said. I don't really know how you accidentally give someone a black eye, but I mean, the statement accidents happen is true. And she also stated that Drew wouldn't be with her if she was what we're making her out to be, of a bad person. She just claims that this mom is coming out now because they're going viral and she's trying to seem like a good mother. She wants to push a narrative that Stephanie is not a good mom. I can understand why you wouldn't believe that she's in it for the true thing, I can understand why you think she's doing it for the internet or whatever, but maybe she just wants to see her kid now. Some people step up late, I guess.
But let's not let Drew off the hook here, because wow, his little confession was next level awful. The way he just casually admitted he wouldn't even try to keep his son if Stephanie left, like it was no big deal. That wasn't just a red flag. It was a full-blown siren screaming, I am not a real parent. And the worst part? He didn't even hesitate. No shame, no second thoughts, just a shrug and, yeah, that'd be too hard. Too hard. Too hard. Since when is raising your own child supposed to be easy? This man can spend hours grinding in video games, but the second real-life responsibilities come knocking, he's out. Doctor's appointments, school meetings, just being there for his kid? Nah. That's way too much effort. And the fact that he said it all so calmly, like he was discussing the weather, just proves how little he actually cares. What's really chilling is that he didn't even consider how those words would hurt Deshawn if he ever heard them.
As we know, because Stephanie has been sharing every bit of information about her family online, Drew is now being held in contempt for child support. I thought I should share something that's been on my mind since the very beginning. And while Stephanie doesn't deserve any sort of help, say what the people have been thinking the entire time. Where do you go from here? Let's say something happens to Drew. People are saying, oh my gosh, what if he goes to jail? What if he gets in big trouble, right? That is very likely. So what I would do if I were Stephanie, still wanting to earn money on TikTok, is stop exploiting your children, stop sharing your location, and start a cooking channel. Look, she has a ton of kids, and if there's one thing collectively we can all agree on is that she is always in that kitchen, she is always cooking, and she seems to make relatively good meals for her family. I don't know how much on a budget she's on. The bottom line is she's cooking for a large family, and she could easily share those meals with the internet. People love that shit. They'd eat it up and they would watch it. If you want to continue making money on TikTok and not be completely left behind once your man is finally taken care of because he has been neglecting getting a W-2 job on purpose for this very reason.
A real father doesn't announce his conditional love on a live stream. He doesn't treat parenting like a part-time gig he can quit when it gets inconvenient. But Drew, he's not just failing, he's admitting defeat before the battle even starts. And let's not pretend Stephanie's some innocent bystander in all this. She chose to stay with a man who openly admits he'd bail on their son. She chose to broadcast their dysfunction instead of handling it like an actual adult. At this point, they're both proving they're more invested in their own drama than in giving Deshawn a stable, loving home. The truth is, family court isn't going to care about their excuses. Judges don't look kindly on parents who treat their kids like afterthoughts, or worse, like content. And if Desiree's lawyers get their hands on these clips, game over. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about who's the better parent, it's about who's actually willing to be one. And right now, neither Stephanie nor Drew seems up for the job. But hey, if you thought this was bad, just wait, because you know they're not done self-destructing yet.
If you want to continue an online presence, you have got to shift your content. Bottom line, we're giving people way too much information. You have the platform, you have the views, shift the fucking content. If you started shifting the content and you didn't include so many details about your family, you wouldn't have to continue playing the victim and acting like the entire world's against you when it's all based on the decisions you've made. You've created the chaos. You don't get to be the victim. So take what you have, thank God that you have a platform, and shift it. That would be my suggestion. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think is going to happen with the resilient Jenkins? What do you think will happen to Drew in court? And where do they go from here?
This just keeps getting worse. Stephanie might be doing all the work of parenting, but legally, she's got zero standing. None. Zilch. She's not married to Drew, never bothered to get legal guardianship, and hasn't taken a single step to actually secure her place in Deshawn's life on paper. So, for all her "I'm the one doing everything" rants, the cold, hard truth is that in the eyes of the court, she's just some woman living in the same house as this kid. And that's a huge problem. Because here's the thing. Stephanie can play mom all she wants, but when push comes to shove and custody is on the line, none of her "I take him to the doctor" or "I talk to his teachers." Speeches matter. The law doesn't care about who acts like a parent. It cares about who legally is one. And right now, that's Drew. Only Drew. Which means every single one of his disastrous, self-sabotaging livestream confessions isn't just embarrassing. It's case-building gold for Desiree. And oh, has he handed her plenty? He didn't just hint that he's an uninvolved father. He declared it on camera with receipts. The part where he straight up said he wouldn't even try to keep Deshawn if Stephanie left. That's not just bad parenting. That's legal suicide. Because now, Desiree's lawyers don't have to interpret his lack of commitment. They can just play the clip in court. And judges hate parents who treat their kids like optional accessories. Meanwhile, Stephanie's over here acting like her effort should count for something.
Stephanie and Drew's hotel room is such a safety hazard for their small kids that it gives me such anxiety. In her recent video that she just posted, there is videos of them in the bathroom getting ready. And if you look, you can barely see it here, or maybe you can. There is cords, ointment, whatever's on the floor, you're probably not going to want inside your small kid's mouth. That baby is doing tummy time, but that baby's soon going to be crawling and walking and getting into everything. And you have everything just kind of laying around. Half of the things in the bathroom looked plugged in. So all it takes is one of the small ones to come in, turn something on, and give themselves a burn. It takes 2 seconds of her being distracted for one of those small babies to go in there and squeeze whatever's in that tube into their mouth. And it's a mess. I know that it's going to probably continue to be a mess because that many people living in one room is it's just not going to work. And that's just the bathroom. That's not even mentioning the hot oil and grease that they use to cook with. That is honestly splattering all over the room. And if they're using lighters to smoke, the whole room is probably flammable at this point. I don't know. I don't know. That's crazy.
But effort doesn't mean anything if you don't have the legal rights to back it up. And let's be real. If she really wanted to secure her place in Deshawn's life, she would have taken steps to make it official long before now. Instead, she's just been assuming her role would be respected. And that's a dangerous gamble when custody is at stake. But here's where it gets really ugly, because this isn't just about Drew's laziness or Stephanie's lack of legal standing. It's about whether Deshawn is even safe in that house. And the fact that he ended up with a black eye under their care, with zero explanation from either of them, that's terrifying. Responsible adults don't stay silent when a child gets hurt. They explain. They take accountability. But Stephanie and Drew? Radio silence. And that silence, it's deafening in court. Because when a kid gets injured and the adults in charge don't even address it, judges don't just raise an eyebrow, they bring down the gavel. At this point, Desiree's legal team isn't just collecting evidence, they're practically being handed a slam dunk case. Between Drew's parenting is too hard confession, Stephanie's legally irrelevant involvement, and the very real concerns about Deshawn's safety, this isn't just a custody battle anymore, it's a reckoning. And the worst part, Stephanie and Drew still don't seem to grasp how badly they've screwed up. They keep feeding the drama, live streaming their dysfunction, and acting like the internet is their therapist, when in reality, every second of it is just another nail in their own coffin. But hey, if you thought this was bad, just wait. Because if they keep going like this, they won't just lose custody, they'll deserve it.
Hey Stephanie, hey Drew, why don't you guys tell everybody how you took Deshawn from his mother and never gave him back? Okay, let's go back to 2020. Desiree asked if Drew could get Deshawn while she got back on her feet. Desiree faced extreme hardship while Stephanie is lying, saying that she was doing rugs. No, she was going through a hard time and asked her baby daddy to get his child so that she could get on her feet. And y'all want to know what Drew did? He blocked Desiree so that she could not get in contact with her son. And no, Drew does not let Deshawn see his mother at all. And y'all are probably wondering, how do you know all of this? Well, maybe because Desiree has a GFM so that she can try and get help to get her son back. Desiree has literally worked so hard to get back on her feet just for Drew to take her son from her. Y'all are so quick to go and give the resilient Jenkins views, but what about this mother that is in desperate need of getting her son back? This is only part 1. I am going to be posting more information for y'all, so stay tuned. Desiree's TikTok is Desiree Career, and I'll have it on the screen somewhere.
Stephanie's idea of tough love isn't parenting, it's emotional sabotage. She's not teaching her kids resilience, she's conditioning them to accept dysfunction as normal. Instead of guiding them through challenges with care, she's handing them trauma like it's some kind of twisted life lesson. And the worst part? She genuinely seems to believe she's doing them a favor by hardening them against disappointment. But that's not strength, that's survival mode. When kids are repeatedly taught that love comes with strings, instability, and emotional whiplash, they don't grow up stronger. They grow up numb. They learn to swallow their hurt because they've been trained to expect nothing better. And that kind of damage doesn't just fade, it rewires them. It shows up later as adults who struggle with trust, who second-guess their worth, or who mistake chaos for love because that's all they've ever known. Then there's the moment that should have been a wake-up call for anyone watching. Stephanie actually turned to her Chow 10-year-old daughter for relationship advice, asking her whether she should stay with Drew. Let that sink in. A child was put in the position of emotionally propping up her mother's failing relationship, as if a 4th grader should have any say in adult romantic decisions. Stephanie tried to spin it like some profound bonding moment, but let's be real, that's not maturity. It's emotional incest. Kids shouldn't be their parents' therapists, mediators, or confidants. They shouldn't be burdened with adult problems they can't possibly process. Yet, Stephanie routinely dumps her emotional baggage onto her children like they're tiny, unpaid life coaches. She vents about Deshawn's biological mother in front of him, drags them into her fights with Drew, and exposes them to grown-up drama they shouldn't even know about, let alone be asked to navigate. This is parentification at its worst, forcing kids to carry emotional weight that isn't theirs to hold. It's not just unfair, it's abusive.
Let's talk about the resilient Jenkins and how Stephanie's blubber and sister has come out to address something. So the other day, Stephanie was on live and she accused her mom of essaying her and her siblings. And Stephanie's siblings have quickly come out and said that this is not true. What's crazier about this is the fact that she's trying to accuse her mom of something that her husband is serving time for. Stephanie is not married to Drew. Stephanie is still legally married to her husband, and I'm pretty sure his name is Jeremiah Thompson. Jeremiah essayed his own mother and several children. Stephanie's mom, Reese, has even told us, me and lots of other people on live before, that the proper authorities, I'm not going to say who, has had to step in between Stephanie and Jeremiah for her to leave him because she would not lead him. And so the proper authorities had to come in and take action against her if she did not do that.
Children who grow up this way often struggle with anxiety, codependency, and guilt well into adulthood because they were robbed of the chance to just be kids. Instead of protecting their innocence, Stephanie exploits their loyalty, using them as emotional crutches because the adults in their lives can't get their act together. And let's be clear, this isn't an accident. It's a pattern. Stephanie doesn't just occasionally overshare, she routinely blurs the lines between her emotions and her children's well-being. Dinner table conversations should be about school and silly jokes, not custody battles and relationship betrayals. But in that house, the kids are collateral damage in a never-ending cycle of dysfunction. The bottom line? Stephanie isn't preparing her kids for the real world. She's failing them in it. Real parenting means providing stability, not using your children as emotional support animals. And until she realizes that, the damage will just keep piling up. One live stream, one inappropriate confession, one fractured childhood at a time.
Literally been hurt and crushed by a lot of the crap that Stephanie has gone here and said about me. But for the first time, I am legitimately about as pissed as I can be. Blatantly fucking pissed. That little slip up of her, my mom essayed, ha ha ha, and then trying to play it off. And then y'all jumping in going, oh, I knew her mom did this. I knew her mom did that. I knew her mom was capable of this. How do you know that? You've lived with me? You've walked a mile with me? You've worn my shoes for a little while? Tell me, how do you know anything? How do you know shit? How? How would you know that? I have never harmed anyone. Why would I do such a thing? Why would I be that kind of a person? How could I be? You people just crack me the fuck up. That you jump in and you believe her like that. Good Lord. You have no clue. That girl opens her mouth and all that comes out is lies, lies, lies. And don't come on here and tell me I don't have the right to defend myself when she's dragging me through the fucking mud like this. And Stephanie, you need to knock it the fuck off. One day I'm not going to be around anymore, and how are you going to feel about that? How are you going to feel when you hear your mom's dead, your mom's gone, and you didn't repair the relationship? Tell me how you're going to feel.
Stephanie's household may have her name on it, but the ones paying the emotional price are the children. And Deshawn is carrying the heaviest load. His situation has gone far beyond neglectful. He's not just being emotionally sidelined, he's living in an environment where he feels like an outsider, someone just occupying space rather than being embraced. It's not only what's said to him or about him, it's the energy, the attention, and the daily choices that tell the real story. When his birthday came around, the contrast was glaring. There was no excitement, no sense of anticipation. The celebration, if you could even call it that, was thrown together at the last minute. Cheap gifts from the dollar store, no balloons, no thoughtful planning. It was the kind of effort that says, let's get this over with. It felt more like an obligation than a celebration, like someone checking off a box rather than honoring a child's special day. Meanwhile, Stephanie's biological children have had birthdays filled with care. There were decorations, thoughtful gifts ordered ahead of time, real moments of joy. The difference wasn't subtle, it was obvious. It was intentional. And kids notice those things, even if they don't know how to say it out loud. They feel it. Deshawn feels it. He sees the effort that goes into making others feel special while he gets the scraps, if anything at all. This isn't just about emotional neglect. It's about the message being sent to him daily, that he's not a full member of the family, that he's an extra, an afterthought, that he exists in the home but isn't truly part of it, and that quiet, constant exclusion chips away at a child's self-worth. He's not being raised in that house, he's being tolerated, managed, overlooked, and no child should grow up feeling like they're just there, like they're someone's responsibility rather than someone's joy.
It's so funny to me that people believed that Stephanie was coming to her senses when she began crashing out, making posts like this, and it's exactly why I be questioning right now. My kids deserve this, and it's an entire thing about fathers and how kids need their dad, and they need a dad who makes them feel safe. Then she also crashes out, making this entire thing, saying, why are you guys coming after me? I did nothing wrong. It's all Drew. Go after him. Stop trying to get my accounts. Basically throwing all the shit out in the air of what her and Drew are going through, all for her to make this video.
I'm not gonna leave him. And I don't owe anybody explanations to that. It's between him and I. Y'all are here to watch our journey, not beside our journey. Try to fucking remember that. I mean, like, seriously fucking remember that. Remember y'all's place.
Did you hear that? We need to remember our place. Well, at least we have a place. We have a place to call home. And we have a place because you're the one who brought all your shit online. I find it hysterical. There were so many people in her comments like, this is the most well-rounded thing I've ever seen Stephanie post. She's really coming to her senses. She's gonna leave him. If you think that Stephanie is gonna leave this guy, I'm sorry. You can't believe that at this point. There have been more issues than this entire situation that should have led her to being like, no, I'm not putting my kids through this. But it's always about her relationship with Drew and not stability for her kids. At bottom line, people need to realize that. I saw so many people in the comments trying to defend Stephanie and then going after Desiree, saying that she's clout chasing.
Deshawn deserves to feel chosen. He deserves to be celebrated, to be loved out loud, not pitied or brushed aside. And this whole situation shouldn't even be up for debate. Drew has openly said he wouldn't fight for custody if Stephanie walked away. That alone reveals everything about his level of commitment. Add to that the fact that Stephanie has no legal rights to Deshawn and regularly displays erratic, emotional behavior online, and the case against them becomes undeniable. Despite acting like a parent, Stephanie holds no legal ground. She's not married to Drew. She's not his legal guardian. And given the way she's behaved, her presence only makes the situation worse. On the other hand, Desire has been quietly building her case, not through social media drama, but through documentation, evidence, and preparation. She hasn't needed an audience. She's been focused on the outcome. And now, everything is lining up in her favor. The evidence isn't buried. It's everywhere, spread across TikTok lives, Instagram stories, and Facebook videos. Every confession, every emotional misstep, every indication that Deshawn has not been put first, it's all been captured and shared by the very people trying to prove they're suitable to raise him. And together, it tells a clear and painful truth. Deshawn isn't safe, he isn't supported, and he certainly isn't being prioritized.
You're joking, right? I'm pretty sure Desiree has other kids, and I've not yet once seen her exploit her children the way Stephanie does. Yeah. I cannot believe people are trying to turn on the mother of Deshawn. She cares so much about these kids, yet she keeps them in a predicament where she's explaining Drew does not show up. And that's why she's struggling. You guys aren't creating a stable home for your kids. And at this point, if she's not willing to leave for her kids, she's never leaving. You guys have got to stop defending this woman. She is only worried because she thinks that you guys are coming after her account. That's all it is. And she knows how to manipulate. I will give her that. If she is a student in one thing, it's manipulation, and it really makes me sad that so many people will fall for it. Bottom line, a lot of people have been following this family because of the kids and the kids alone. That's all it comes down to. And when we start seeing people turning on the people, I think, trying to genuinely help the kids, and they're like starting to defend Stephanie and Drew, that's scary. Yeah, that's really scary. She's going to keep her family in the predicament. They're flipping and flopping in the next hotel as we speak today. They're putting 5 children and a parent in a sedan that has 5 seats. They're actively showing neglect and how they put the lives of those children at risk. And I can honestly never understand people defending anything at this point. It truly needs to be in defense of the children and the children alone, because they are not going to change. They are okay with staying in the predicament that they are. I truly believe that.
Deshawn is clearly not in the environment he deserves, and it seems like everyone watching already knows it. Now, it's just a matter of whether the court will finally catch up and make it official. If everything goes as it should, Deshawn could soon be back in the care of his mother. A small but powerful moment of hope in a story filled with hardship. It's a rare glimpse of justice, one child possibly being lifted out of dysfunction and given the chance to heal in a space rooted in love, structure, and stability. But as much as we want to celebrate that possibility, we can't ignore what still lingers behind. Deshawn isn't the only child in that household. Stephanie's biological children are still there, living in the same rundown space, caught in the same emotional whirlwind, quietly absorbing everything around them. They sit through the screaming matches. They hear the unfiltered rants. They witness the chaos without any of the tools to understand it. And though they're not wrapped up in a legal battle, they're still in a daily fight for emotional survival. If Deshawn's departure sets a new path in motion, will it push Stephanie to take a hard look at herself? Will it force her to reflect on the damage already done? Or will she double down and spiral further? And what about Drew? Will losing custody wake him up and finally make him step into his role as a father to the children he still has access to? Or will he continue to retreat, hiding behind his games while his household falls apart in the background? There's a real concern that Deshawn leaving could be the thread that unravels the entire situation. His absence might reveal just how unstable the whole setup really is, how much was being propped up by excuses, distractions, and live stream performances. And that's the part we can't afford to overlook. These are real children living through very real trauma. They're not props in a social media saga. They're not storylines for the internet to consume. And yet, their pain is being put on display with little to no regard for how it shapes them in the long run. Stephanie and Drew may treat their lives like content, but the fallout their children are experiencing is anything but scripted. It's messy, it's ongoing, and if nothing changes, it's heading toward a deeply heartbreaking end.
This really is nothing new. Like, if you were on my page before I got banned, I literally said several times, if them cats was getting ate up, ain't no telling what them babies was getting ate up by. Look at this poor baby's arms. Don't make no motherfucking sense. Like, and how has nobody gotten them kids out of that situation? And TikTok, why the fuck do y'all want to take my account for speaking up for them and not take their parents' accounts for posting them? It's just crazy. It's baffling. It don't make no sense. It doesn't make any sense. And his arms looking like that is exactly why he got on them long sleeve shirts when summer is around the corner. Okay? Like, stop playing with that little boy, please. And why was you looking at shorts, but y'all didn't get him done? Got him all them shirts with no bottoms. Like, I don't know. Like, y'all just are so backwards. So backwards. It's definitely the perfect fit, Cinderella. What do you mean? Like, get out of them big boats. Please look at this piece of pizza. Like, would you want to eat that? Would you want to eat that piece of pizza? No. Be for real. Be the fuck for real. Thank you.
Thanks for sticking with us through this story. If you found this video insightful, give it a like and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates as this situation continues to unfold. And if you want more stories like this one, check out the other videos on the channel. We've got a lot more to talk about.